Hey, what's good, y'all? Alex Lovall here, back at it again with another idea. This is another podcast type of thing, but it's my own version of it. There's going to be two different editions. This is going to be the A one. The next one's going to be the B. Tell me which one you guys like below in the comments. I also have a new channel intro I'm trying out. Let me know what you think of that. Also, for this one specifically, I recorded more footage than I wanted to, and I was actually doing really good as Batman. I don't want it to go to waste, so it's going to be at the end of the video as a bonus. All right, hope you enjoy it, and tell me what you think.
Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright y'all, first topic up on the board is why are fighting games not as popular as other genres? Now, I've noticed since I've been a little kid, since I've been on Xbox Live, PS4, PC, just being alive, fighting games just aren't taken as seriously or expected to be played like, let's say, a Fortnite, a League of Legends, a Call of Duty, a 2K, you name a game if it's not a fighting game. People are, on average, probably going to take it more seriously or look at it more seriously than a fighting game. Now, why? I've been playing fighting games for about as long as I've been alive. Let's say 15 years now. Damn, I'm old. However, in that time, I've noticed that I've personally gone from saying, oh, 2K sucks, and oh, League of Legends has no skill, and oh, Fortnite's a baby game. I've kind of got off that, and now I realize that any game, if you want to take it to the highest level, or really any activity ever, because you can really say that about anything, like drawing, playing an instrument, dancing, singing, whatever you pick, even just going to school, being a doctor, whatever you pick, it's going to take time, effort, skill, and dedication in order to get to that high level. Now, with that being said, a lot of people don't want to try with a fighting game because they expect to be bad and they only expect or consider themselves to be button mashing. So when they play the fighting game, you pick whichever one you want, they are only going to try to press buttons and that's it. The minute somebody with some skill, or the minute they have to try a little bit harder, or the minute that they are met with a challenge, it's gonna kind of put up a wall of resistance. That's like, oh snap, okay, I'm out of the button range, I'm out of the button mashing zone, I gotta start trying, gotta start understanding what to do, and I'll get into this a little bit later in the next points, but once they hit some of those challenges, they're like, oh, nope, we're getting out of, I can't do it, nope, I don't want to do it no more, I'm going back to 2K. Now, with that being said, I also think that fighting games aren't accepted in the mainstream just because skill isn't rewarded. Like the process of getting good in Fortnite, right? If you're in the Fortnite community, you're probably going to look at it as like, oh my god, that's great. Me personally, I don't. I respect the fact you had to do it. I just don't care about the skills to get good at that game. Just like a 2K, right? I don't play 2K. I don't really know much about basketball at all. You can look at my channel and kind of see that. I'm okay. I can admit that. And again, takes a lot of skill to get there. I just don't care about getting there. Same with first person shooters. However, I do care about Halo. That's the one where I actually pay attention. But overall, most of the world is going to care about those more. I guess because kind of due to what I was saying earlier, the button mashing is kind of being rewarded, as well as the fact that the community itself is looked at as weird, right? It's either too toxic, too male driven, too egotistical, too ignorant, too nerdy, too whatever. You pick a adjective, I guess, and it's not going to be appealing to the audience, right? And if the community itself is not appealing, and nobody wants to care about getting good at a particular game, right? It's not going to be inviting for somebody to want to play and want to get better. And then when it's expected to lose, nobody likes to lose, okay? If you like to lose, that's a whole different topic, right? So when you're playing a fighting game, 10 times out of 10, half of your player base is going to lose at some point. Even your Justin Wongs, your Daigos, your Yipeses, your Maximilians, they're going to lose at some point. And since you're already playing a game when you don't care about getting good, you just want a button mash, which means you just probably want to have fun and not try so hard. Nobody's really going to like you or respect you for playing a fighting game, and the community of people you're playing it with aren't even looked at as cool people. All that means is I'm spending my time doing something that's too hard for me, and no one is going to like me for doing it, so I'm going to be by myself pretty much, or with a group of people that I'm not really the most comfortable with. That all equals I'm dropping the game and I'm picking something else, right? And then the last thing I want to say, excuse me, is that there's not a lot of turnover rate. So with all that included, there are still some people, especially when I was first starting out, because everyone has to start out somewhere. There's not a lot of people who start playing a fighting game for whatever reason and then want to continue on to that next level. For whatever reason, they don't want to play and get better, and then by getting better and starting on that journey, they can then move up and move up and move up, and then you get to mid-level, and you get to high level, then you get to top level, then you get to elite level, then you go to pretty much tournament player, right? That whole journey, that whole process, there's not a lot of people kind of wanting to switch into that. So that means the player base of people who are kind of wanting to stick around and get better is slowly getting smaller. So it's only going to be that small community of people, which then kind of leads us into where we're at today. All right, starting to go into real life for the second topic is when to and not to argue with somebody. So before I continue, just remember, it's not always better being right. Sometimes it's better being at peace. So no matter what, sometimes, even if you know you're right and you want to argue, if the situation at hand, if you feel that being at peace is better, or I should say, sometimes being at peace is better than being right. So just keep that little nugget in your head. Now, on to the actual points. So me personally, I think you should argue with somebody if there's a point to prove. If, let's say, you want to say the sky is blue and they think the sky is red. Silly, I know. The point is, if you really have a point to prove and you have a stake in that point, then you should probably start having a disagreement, or you and somebody else is having a disagreement, right? You don't want to be a pushover, and you want to be able to stand up for you, yourself, the people you care about, and just your beliefs in general. Because if you don't, then the world and this other person specifically probably going to walk all over you, and then you're not going to feel good about yourself, and then it's going to make it a lot harder to defend yourself in the future, and then other people are going to look at that, the time that you didn't do something, then use that against you, and then kind of keep arguing at you, keep not respecting your opinions and your points and things like that. And it's just going to become a cycle, and then you're going to break the cycle in a bad way, and it's just, and to avoid all that, just stand up for yourself at the beginning. This kind of plays on the first thing I said, but you're on the correct side. So with the sky is blue, sky is red, if everything points to the sky being blue, you know, evidence, people's opinions, your personal experience, if that's pointing to the sky being blue, and you know the sky is blue, then again, I don't see an issue with you wanting to kind of defend your point or just talk about it. And also, before I continue, the word argument sometimes carries a negative connotation or a negative tone. So if you want to use the word debate, discussion, those words apply too. It's really only an argument, in my opinion, when you're either aggressively going after the other person to constantly prove your point, and you guys are just going back and forth, giving your points, giving their points, and you're trying to defend your points while discrediting theirs. Then it's a real argument. And there's a consequence for losing that's more than just, oh, okay, you're right, or oh, okay, you're wrong. You know what I mean? Now, the last thing is that you actually have a genuine passion or concern for said topic of argument or discussion, right? So if I'm talking about, I don't know, Batman Beyond, I had this discussion in a Discord call where somebody was like, yo, Terry McGinnis is a bad Batman Beyond, and Batman Beyond, the show was ruined by the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending here, because I love the show, you should watch it. However, I remember having a 3-hour discussion about it because I personally cared a lot about the show and Terry. I don't think that ending ruined Terry McGinnis or said ending. However, I can see where somebody would think that. I just personally don't agree. Now, the other people in the call were trying to discredit me, saying I was wrong, I didn't understand the character, I didn't know anything about what Batman is and what his mythology is and yada yada yada. And then I was actually on the side of no, I do understand, and I don't think that ending actually did anything. Matter of fact, I think the ending kind of helped a little bit more, or at the worst case, it was neutral, right? So at that one, I could have just let it go. I could have just said, you know what, you're right, or oh, I don't really know, or I don't really care. But the truth is, I did care, and I did want to actually stand up for what I believed in. And due to the other reasons I just mentioned, I just didn't let it go. So the conversation obviously kind of died out after like 3 hours in, but I was not letting it go. And there was at least 3 to 4 people coming in the call and 3 to 4 people giving their opinions, and I was still stuck to my guns. So those are situations, or that's a situation I should say, where arguing was okay in my opinion. A situation where you don't want to argue with somebody is where you and the other person just argue all the time, and you're known for arguing every single point, every single time, and it's just the sake of arguing. Please, if you're in conflict all the time, do not continue to engage with that person, especially if you yourself want to be in the argument just to argue. I've done that before. I've been on both sides. Please just run away from that person. It's not healthy. It's not right. You're going to end up changing yourself into a worse person, or just keep doing bad habits and keep having a bad mindset, which is going to keep you in the bad cycle. Now, if you don't really care about what's going on, like I said, that Batman Beyond point, I really cared about Batman Beyond. Well, I still care about Batman Beyond. I'm not going to act like I don't. So I didn't want to let it go. Now, if it was something like, I don't know, One Piece, I like One Piece. I don't know enough about it or have that much passion on it to like really have a 3-hour discussion. Now, Dragon Ball, I can have a 4 or 5 hour discussion and not get tired, because I really have passion about that show in particular. It's a bad time to argue when you just want to prove the other person wrong by any means, or you start back tripping on your words, and you start backpedaling on what you've been saying or trying to say. You're not really understanding, or you're just acting out, and you're just losing yourself in the sake of the argument every time. Just like I said before, run away. It's time to stop, because you're either going to make yourself look foolish, you're going to act out in ways that aren't good for you or your character, and it's just not a healthy time overall. Pro gamer or pro athlete, you gotta pick one. Now, I know in this world, if you're really good, you can pick both, though in this scenario, you can only choose one. There are pros and cons for both. The pro for being a pro athlete is that there's a big opportunity of money, or for money. Stupid bands can be made by being a pro athlete. It's low key. If you're trying to make big bands, it's a really good way to get there. However, the risk, just a spoiler alert, the risk is pretty high. Now, you're pretty much guaranteed to get famous off being a pro athlete if you get to the superstar status. And even if you get to the actual team status, you can kind of parlay that. However, it's much easier to get famous if you're the superstar. Now, this is like a side benefit, depending on how you look at it, though. Your body is going to be in shape. You're going to be ripped. You're going to be toned. You're going to be muscular. You're going to be proportionate, which that's just going to help you in a lot of different areas of life, including just performance, how you look, and let's be honest, how you can attract it's 2022, whoever you decide to get with, you can probably attract them a lot easier. And then you're probably going to be able to reach a wider audience of people, just because, as I was saying earlier, fighting games, though in this case gaming as a whole, isn't as widely known, respected, or really just enjoyed by a wider audience of people that like sports is. Like sports is sports. Esports are esports, you know what I mean? So that right there can kind of tell you that sports as a whole, much wider demographic. And just to quickly follow up on that, your brand can become a lot bigger and it's a lot easier to expand on and maintain if you're a pro athlete. Some of the cons, however, is that the physical toll, not gonna lie to you, it's kind of a lot. Like, being in shape and being a pro athlete is not easy by any sense of the word. Not everyone is also going to make it. Like J. Cole said, there's only 12 spots on the Pistons. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more than 12 people trying to get there. So that process and that journey to get there, you might not make it, which, depending on how you let your cards fall, could be the end of your, well, livelihood. And there's more people, and since there's more money involved, there's more people watching you, you got to plan your moves a lot better. There can be a lot more pitfalls and things that you might not be expecting. And if you don't play your cards right and move correctly, that can also be the end of your livelihood or life if you're not careful. And to play off of what I just said a little bit earlier, there's a higher chance of injury because you're using your body. You can get injured. It's just a fact of life. On the other side of the coin, being a pro gamer is not as physically demanding. You're probably just going to be sitting down for long periods of time, moving your fingers, compared to actually using your body to play a sport. I've done a little bit of both, so from my experience, that's kind of how it goes. Now, mentally, you're probably going to be using a lot of your brain power instead of just using your sitting, you know what I'm saying? So you can be at the forefront of your brand. Now, when you're on a team and there's big money involved, you're not always in control of everything associated with you and the name you put up. When you're a gamer, it's probably a lot less, let's go with rewarding in terms of money. It's not as rewarding, so you can kind of be in control of you and how you are projected and perceived in the world. You know what I'm saying? And then there's a greater chance for you to just be an influencer. Like Maximilian built his brand kind of being himself and being independent. And I can't say the same for Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? Steph Curry has a bigger brand. People know him more, make references and things of that nature. Though I don't think he's as big of a quote-unquote influencer, quote-unquote, as a Maximilian is. Again, don't know too much about sports, so don't quote me on that last part. Some of the biggest cons that I've noticed is that the payouts just aren't as big. Pro athletes' paychecks a lot bigger than a pro gamer's checks, and that's just what it is right now. You know what I'm saying? So just take that into account. And real life can show up and kind of make you not want to game or not be able to game. Like, oh, my visa's out, can't really play like that, or can't really be in the country like that, or I gotta go to school and put that in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Or family issues, or whatever you can kind of come up with that can kind of knock you off your course a lot easier than if you were a pro athlete, usually, because there's a lot more things in place to kind of help athletes stay on track versus a pro gamer stay on track. And then just simply put, it's a lot easier to lose your top spot as a gamer, because since the only thing that really keeps you afloat is tournament winnings, tournament results, and just brand, if you're not the one playing and winning all the time, and you haven't made a name for yourself by playing or winning previously, you're out of there. Even people like Daigo or Justin Wong, they lose a couple times, don't win a couple tournaments, don't make a lot of headlines, people think they washed up. Though I guess, to be honest, that's the same for both, so you can kind of put that in the middle. Alright, this one's a bonus one, off the top, no script. Who is the best Batman live action actor / who is my favorite? Those are technically two different questions, I'm combining them into one. First up, Adam West. Now, if we're talking about him being a serious Batman, kind of lame, kind of not it. Now, if we're going to just go off what he was able to do, I think his charm, his charisma, his ability to actually solve the cases and be an actual thinking Batman is kind of underrated, as well as the way he talked and his dialogue, actually pretty good. Michael Keaton, his Bruce Wayne, I honestly have never really been a fan. Is very eccentric, very weird, very just kind of out there and not really serious in a sense. Now his Batman, stiff movements, kind of jerky, didn't really fight that well. Love the costume though. Costume's probably one of my favorite bat suits of all time. Now I'm just going to skip Val Kilmer, George Clooney. I don't really remember them that much. They might have some good pieces here and there. Don't really know. George Clooney is like everything Adam West did, except made it worse because at the time I want a serious Batman. Here comes the controversial pick. Now, I personally think Christian Bale, great as a Bruce Wayne, had the dialogue, had the motive, had the themes, was able to kind of act, you could believe him. He had the kind of dual persona down a lot better. Now his Batman, kind of weak. Hate the fighting. Hate the fighting. The suit is cool, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And just, I hate the voice. I lied. I don't hate the fighting as much as I hate the voice. The voice ruined it for me, personally. Now Ben Affleck, He is arguably my favorite live action Batman, except for the fact A, he used guns, and B, they didn't really know how they wanted to direct or use him, so he kind of goes between super serious, edgy Dark Knight Returns Batman and like kind of a leader, kind of campy, kind of lighthearted Justice League Batman. I need you to pick one and stick with it. But in terms of his build, the way he talked, and his overall costumes, probably my favorite. I haven't seen the Rob Pattinson Batman, so I'm not going to speak on him, though I think they're trying to do the whole super dark, super I want to be Batman, nothing else, which, okay, that's kind of cool. Almost forgot to mention, this is the last thing, Kevin Conroy is my favorite Batman, hands down. Voice, immaculate. He had the charisma, the charm, everything I've said about every other Batman, literally combine that into one and then improve it by like 15 times. And that is the best Batman ever. You're not going to beat it. Don't try. It's done.